cannot complain. It's a great day.
That is good. I apologize. I'm glad to see you here. This is long overdue. Introduce yourself.
I am Sheree. I am the author of What Do You Bring to the Table? I am a servant, public speaker, and a vessel.
Vessel for?
The Lord.
Okay. Those sound like completely different people on one hand, because you categorize it. So who is Sheree?
Aside from my titles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I am hungry. I am after something greater than where I am. I am a once very broken woman, and I am evolving through this process of writing. That's who I am.
You said you're hungry for what?
Greater. I know that I came from the projects and came from a dysfunctional type of family, so I'm hungry for not platforms, but for wholeness. So that's what I'm after. And so at all costs, I am willing to pursue that.
You said you were broken.
Mm-hmm.
How have you started to mend? What was that process?
Well, that started with writing, and this is why I love Brothers Keeper so much, because it helped me to vent. I didn't trust people. I had a problem with letting my emotions out. I'd had pride issues. I don't want anybody to know that I'm hurting. So writing at 8 years old helped me to vent and trust the paper, because paper can't tell on me or judge me. So I did the journaling thing, and then when I got maybe 24, 25, I decided I'm going to write a book. Told my brother, let's write a book together. And we did that. So writing a book led to interviews. Interviews led to a need to be transparent. So the transparency I can communicate in front of strangers allowed me to let it go, more so than just in the book, because I was hiding behind third person. And the platforms allowed me to speak on what I experienced instead of hiding. So that helped me.
Was there or is there some fear in being transparent?
Absolutely, because when I'm in my zone, I don't care, and people may be hurt, and I can't do anything about that. But I need to let my truth out. So I had some issues with my father, and there are things that I told him already. So there it is. I can't hold that back. I wanted to be honest with how my mother handled situations. They're not perfect, but it allowed me to see their imperfections and show them how their decisions affected me, so that we can all get this out.
You mentioned about fear. How do you overcome it, fear in general?
Fear. I had a fear of public speaking or speaking period. I like to be in the corner all the time. So the fear was not to think about it, just do it. So, for example, I hate rejection, and I wanted to ask someone, why are you treating me a certain kind of way? Like, you changed. And my fear of rejection was like, what if they go off on you or say something really mean, But I had just went and asked them, what did I do to offend you? Why are you treating me this way? Because if I think about it, I'll have my pride like, forget you and whatever. But if I just do it, then it doesn't matter. Or even come into a prison. So I had a fear of like, oh my God, there's so many people, and they're criminals, and I had this perception of who these people were. And if I just did it, don't think about it, I forget where I am.
You wrote this book, and you sound passionate now. What is your passion?
My passion is synonymous with my message, which is celibacy, education, and healing. So I love to encourage people to do self-inventory, because I did a lot of pointing my fingers for many years, but self-inventory came with the book, What Do You Bring to the Table? And it allowed me to take responsibility for what I did. and actions that I had made. So I love to see people get that aha moment of, you know what, I did do that wrong. I could have handled that better. You know what, he showed me in the beginning who he was, and I chose to cover my eyes. So that I love to see people do that. Or I meet people that are teenagers that are virgins, and I'm able to witness with them and share with them that we join in together. And then education, because I was told that I wasn't a good writer. And that's how the book even evolved, because my professor in college, I think my first year, she said, "You're not a good writer, you should take a class." And I'm like, well, I thought I was a good writer. I mean, you know, I did a proposal or two. I thought I was good. And she said, "You're not." But because of that, I decided to write a book. And I said, success will be my very best revenge. It's not about me having, you know, fancy cars and fancy suits, but inner success is my best revenge. And so I wanted to send her a book and say, look what happened. But it motivated me. So those are my it's.
You spoke about your passions, and I'm thinking about, I know you get around, and I know you have a lot of conversations with other women. Mm-hmm. Tell me about empowering them through your deeds and actions and some of your writings.
Well, last year I held a celibacy challenge, and I had workshops in libraries and in an art gallery as well, the Art Palace, by the way. We had a workshop, and we would break up the chapters of what he brings to the table. Break it up and talk about where we are with that. And in one particular instance, I tied a lady up with rope and talked about how we're tied in relationships, and you have an opportunity to let go and to unravel yourself, but you choose to stay there. So she had the moment, and she just was emotional, and she could see how you can get caught up. If I just break it down in a different way, I could see them have their moment, and it just means something to me that you actually get it. Because at one point in time, I was so concerned with being seen. Like, I feel like I'm invisible. You know, what can I do to be seen? So I'm going to wear something short or something low, but now I want to be heard. And that's how I know that I have grown, because I want to be heard now.
You tell me about Sheree's Mirror Project.
Sheree's Mirror Project. It's what I'm working on an LLC for that. And I love to take people and expose them to different environments. So we had a group of kids, and I said, I don't want to be confined to a church. I don't like the rules. I want to set my own rules. So I asked people on social media, can you help me take kids to a prison and to expose them to what life could be like if they choose to keep down the path that they're on? And I put it out there, and people just said, let me help you. So we had people that paid for breakfast, full lunch, gave us so many supplies, book bags, so many things to give to the children and bring them to the prison. And then I took them to Ohio State University for college to expose them to a bars or books initiative. So 1 week we were at the prison, next week we were at a college for a 2.5-hour tour of Ohio State University. We also have done workshops for foster care students, because even though I'm not a product of that environment, I recognize the need and the brokenness, and I can identify with that. And I used to do it every year for about maybe 3 or 4 years straight. Go to speak every year in Cleveland State University to the foster care students. School supply drives, sleepovers, so much is under that canopy.
I'm curious, I have to take a step back. This message of celibacy, are you preaching it to men also? And how are they receptive to it?
Men are like, you off your rocker.
So how do you get them to buy in? How do you get that across to a different gender?
That's worth researching, worth trying. I haven't done that. Even with me mentioning it to the foster care students, they're like, oh, you're crazy, but what if you become old? And what if, but they're young. Maybe I need to try an older market and see how they would take it, but it's necessary. With the statistics of STDs and all types of diseases, it's necessary. And in the book, I talk about how sex clouds your judgment, and you're able to see people from a different perspective when you have something other than sex to go by. So it's definitely needed, no matter the gender.
You had mentioned exposing other people to different environments, how do you expose yourself to different environments? And what is your reaction to them?
I can be very adventurous. I hopped up and went to the Bahamas by myself and didn't know anybody, just booked the flight and got there, and I just was venturing out shopping, and that's something that is not me. So that fear of being alone and, oh my God, can I do this? I just went and did it. I was there for 3 days. And coming to the prison is something entirely new. Expose myself to people that I wouldn't have thought I would have a connection with. I'm open to that. I went to the women's prison, and that was a totally different environment. And looking on social media to see how can I support people. What event are you having that I can be involved with that I never would have thought I could do? Something like a school supply drive. I was like, oh, I don't have the resources. Where can I get supplies from? But when you open your mouth and ask people to help you, you never know what kind of response you're going to get. It could be negative, but I have a lot of positivity around me. So that helps me.
We've alluded to the book several times. You turned this into a play. Tell us about that.
Yes, so my approach with What Do You Bring to the Table is very direct. I like to go right into it, no holds barred. We're gonna talk about it. So the play is the same way. The play, What Do You Bring to the Table, is about 4 women that have issues, and they are the stars, so to speak, of the play. And what they do is, you have a woman that has material. She's so into the material. Like, I want God to take care of me, and I'm so broken, really, because of my hurt with my father, my stepfather. You have somebody that is thinking that she's going to use sex as a tactic to get her way. A woman that is so naive, she's about 19, 20, naive to think that her bad guy is going to change. He's going to change, that's going to hang in there at the risk of her own life. Another woman that is bitter about things not working out with her father and children's father, and it's just a cycle. So it's a lot. I'm looking forward to it.
You're doing something else that's also kind of novel. You're debuting it in prison.
Yes.
For somebody
yes.
who wasn't necessarily initially comfortable being in this environment, this is a big step for you. Tell us about that. Why in prison?
Well, there are a couple men in the play. One is a good guy, and it shows how good guys get passed over. And another guy he's married, but he can't get a break. He has a wife that constantly thinks that he's doing something wrong. And on behalf of all the good men out there that are wrongly accused, I have something for the guys. Debut in a prison because it's crazy. It's, what are you doing?
The prison or the play or the guy?
No, debut in a prison is crazy. Why would you do that? Because I'm comfortable here. I trust that I'll get constructive criticism. I trust that the men here, that everyone's in this play. I mean, everyone can relate. So you're able to see things that some of the men might have done to women, whether they're fathers, brothers, because you had that. It's showing the dynamics of relationships in general, from friendship, sisterhood, brotherhood. You're going to see how that plays into What Do You Bring to the Table. This is just a bunch of roller coasters that we're going to introduce, and hopefully we'll break a pattern, and that people will understand what they're doing, how the decisions they make will affect their children. They say that sons need their fathers. Well, daughters need their fathers too. So we're going to show that.
What message do you have for the fathers, incarcerated fathers?
It's don't give up. Be relentless. There was a pastor talked about how his mother didn't want him with his father. So they kept him separated. So what his father would do, and I believe it was the pastor at the Word Church, Pastor Vernon, he said his father would climb up the projects. I think it was Longwood or something. He would climb up the projects, the windows in the fire case or whatever, and he would see him. So he was desperate to see his son. No matter what drama you have going on with the wife or the children's mother, you show that. He said he never forgot that. He never forgot his father would do whatever it takes to see him. And so fathers here, I'm asking you, just be relentless with it. If you're there, even if they don't respond, it may take years, but you don't know where the breakthrough could happen. It could be 1 year, it could be 20 years, it could happen, and they need to hear that. that they're wanted. Because a lot of us daddyless daughters have an issue with not feeling wanted. And if you have someone that, even if you don't respond, they're there for you, it can change at any time.
What about the women that are going to see this in Northeast, pre-release, and other places? What message do you have for them?
From the play or in general?
Both.
From the play, because we're all in here. There isn't not one person that can say, none of this relates to me. You can't say it, because it happens. It's too much of a common thing for it not to happen to anybody. So I would say the need to stop pointing fingers. So that goes for men and women. Stop pointing fingers and to really look inside. And I talked about this on a couple weeks ago. And take responsibility for what you did. Getting to the root of the problem. Get to the very root. Where did it, the crux of it, where did it start from? Go for your earliest memory. You can remember when you were 5 years old or 2 years old, go from there and see where the roots are and try to work on those issues. What are they? Because we can't stop pointing fingers. Take responsibility.
How long have you been on this journey?
Journey of self-discovery?
Yeah.
It's taken a while. It's, I would say, about 4 years that I have been asking God to really work on my character, because I was so immersed in saying that, look what they did to me. And this is why I'm going to be in my cocoon, because they're going to hurt me. See, there's an example right there. They're going to hurt me. But once I began to take self-inventory and ask God to search my character, wash my heart, and I began to see, like, this is what you're doing wrong. So what I would do is I would ask people to tell me what they see. And at the expense of my feelings and my pride, it came out. And I'm able to work on those things now.
How would you recommend that somebody else get on this journey?
Definitely by purchasing or reading What Are You Bringing to the Table, and doing some things that I did, and asking God to just search your heart. What's in me that you find that's not like you? So reading the Bible, it made me like, ooh, how do people in church be so judgmental when you have the Bible saying things that you're not doing right? How dare you? It made me feel ashamed. Like, man, I'm nothing like these people. Look at this Bible. I'm nothing like these people. And it made me want to empty, like, God, wash me. And there's hope for me. It's better than me being in a negative state. I'm able to look at the Bible and say, this is what I want to be like. I want to be proud of me. Because I wasn't so proud of me for a long time.
This may be an unfair question.
Uh-oh.
But for what about those that don't necessarily read the Bible or have any spiritual or religious affiliation, period?
I wouldn't even know how to address that, because he's all I know. But from what I can see is that you have to have a hope. What else is there to live for? There's no hope. And if you don't hope in something greater than yourself, then what are you doing? So if you don't have a spiritual, you need one. You need to have a relationship. It's more than church, it's relationship. So I stress that if you don't have a church, what about your relationship? How can you do better? Who's going to hold you accountable for doing better? So you need to. I don't even know. There's no way around it.
The name of the book is?
What are you bringing to the table?
The obvious question is, what is Sheree bringing to the table?
Oh, that's wrong. I'm bringing loyalty. I bring communication. Where at once upon a time I wouldn't say anything. I was guilty of holding too much in, and I would just be the trophy. And wouldn't complain, wouldn't nag, just be there. But that's not enough. And nobody wants, I don't know who wants just somebody to stand up next to them and not say anything or have an opinion. But now I'm present when I wasn't always present. I'm working on, what I'm bringing is more than my resume. It's my character now. Because at first my resume was like, oh, there it is. I don't have to bring that else. There it is. I did this, I bought this, and I accomplished this. But now it's a submission. How can I do better? How can I learn to submit? How can I be more than just a woman, but to be a wife? Because every woman is not a wife. But how do I learn that? So, okay, let me practice cooking on my niece and nephews. Let me practice submission to my leadership. So I'm learning that, and that's what I'm bringing to the table now.
Women, the word submit and coming out of a woman's mouth is almost unheard of
Yes.
in 2015. How do you feel about that?
I don't understand why, but it's a taboo subject, but it's necessary because it's how can you not listen to what God is saying? If you can't submit to him, how are you going to submit to your husband? So necessary.
When can we expect to see the play?
Wednesday, November the 11th.
Okay. I'd like to thank you. Really appreciate you being here. I'm looking forward to the play. Looking forward to your other books. I know there's some more coming.
Yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to say before we go?
Relationships start in the mirror, not in the sheets.